My name is Christian Huang, co-founder of Mobilize Love. Mobilize Love is a nonprofit my wife and I started in 2017, although we've been in nonprofit ministry for over 24 years in total here in the city. I want to share a little bit about Mobilize Love, why we exist, what we do. Thank you so much. So we exist to show up and give hope. And the way that we do this is by using outreach trucks. In fact, there were two outside. I don't know if you had time to take a look at. Those are just two of the 11 that we have. But we use outreach trucks to go to underserved neighborhoods to provide after-school programs and human services. And everything we do is mobile. But we choose this language very importantly, show up, give hope, because in our 24 years of nonprofit ministry experience, by the way, how can I follow this young lady? You know what called me into ministry? I was a youth pastor in the Tenderloin for 9 years. And I went in the corporate world after that because I got married and needed money. But one of the girls that was in my youth ministry called me when I was in the corporate world. And her name was Anna, and she said, I'm being sex trafficked for 2 years in the city, in the Tenderloin. And when she told me her story, my wife and I, we said, we have two choices. Ignore what we just heard or change our life. And so we quit our job and came back. This is, I love you, man. I love you, woman. Anyways, all of the ministry things we've ever done is really because of her story. And this new iteration of Mobilize Love is the exact same thing. Showing up, what we've learned in 24 years of ministry experience. You know what? I'm in ministry for many years, and it's fourth quarter. It's been a grind this year. That's why if I hear just a good story, I'll just start crying. Stop it. We use the word show up because in 24 years of ministry experience, what I do know is this: whoever shows up wins the battle of influence. Period. But we have to show up in people's world. So when my wife and I in 2017, we knew we wanted to stay in the city. We knew that there were gaps in the city. You know, there's whole neighborhoods that are completely forgotten about. There are food deserts, literacy deserts. There are red line districts, folks. Bayview, hello. There's no exit off the freeway. There's no bus routes. There are whole communities. There's a place called Double Rock, 1,100 families put in 4 buildings, stuck in the middle of nowhere with nothing. I mean, if a single mom has to get milk for her children, she'd have to walk 1.1 miles away into another set. That means another neighborhood where they're not welcome, risking her life to get milk. That stuff is happening here. Okay, so that's why we say we show up. This is why we exist. We show up, but to give hope. You double click on that word hope. Well, there's practical hope. You know, we truly believe practical hope is meeting people's physical needs, teaching people personal life skills. Those are probably the two things we do. But there's also a perpetual hope. I think everything that drives us is really, we want everyone to experience God's love. Again, served in the Tenderloin for 20 plus years. And I'll tell you, man, if money could solve it, it would have happened. There's a proverbial pipeline between City Hall and the District 6, and millions of dollars are being poured into that district. And if money could solve it, it would happen. At some point, people need to reconcile their heart with God. That's my take. You may not be religious, but I'm just telling you, after years and years of experience, we need the Darren Nortons and Salvation Army with faith-based recovery, Hermie and City Team. But can I tell you something? I was a little burnt out by that population. That's why Mobilize Love, we went way upstream. I was like, I can't do adults no more. Let's go after the children. I'm sorry. I applaud your efforts, but man, I'm tired. So we use outreach trucks, and we're trying to help kids so that we could break the cycles of the mindsets and the poverty. So the 3 pillars of our work, we use the alliteration of 3 Ps. Meet physical needs. And we can't meet all the needs, obviously, but we've landed on these through 2 years of surveying, research, talking to families. We do food relief, and we do clothing and laundry and haircuts and health and household hygiene, beauty, school supplies, seasonal goods. We do all that because we're really targeting low-income families, the ELIs, extreme low-income families, families that are trying to make ends meet in the Bay Area. They're one paycheck away from the slippery slope of homelessness. Those are the families we're trying to serve. You'll be amazed that after they pay their rent, their cell phone bill, their utilities, and then they buy a little bit of food, they have $200 left over each month to try to survive as a family of 4 on average. So when we come and we say, hey, we'll cut your kid's hair for free, it matters. Well, we say, hey, we got free clothing for you. And I'm telling you, it matters for families. But it doesn't make us extremely unique. A lot of nonprofits meet physical needs. But what makes us unique is we are mobile and we go to them. They don't have to come and travel to us. So, but not extremely unique. This is what makes us unique. This is what we feel is our highest calling, which is teaching personal life skills. Actually, very biblical. Hosea says, my people are destroyed because they have a lack of knowledge. There's something missing. I won't get into the theoretical stuff, but there's knowledge gaps. What children don't know can often hurt them later in life. They're not being taught. So what we feel called to do is really teach kids. And so this is where we use the stage truck and the stories truck. And we don't teach everything. We only teach 3 things. Social emotional learning. How many of us actually had a social emotional tool belt growing up? I didn't. I had an immigrant Taiwanese father. We didn't talk about nothing, all right? We ate and we swept it on the rug, right? You know what I'm saying? And he was a Christian. You know, he's a pastor. So come on, somebody. What do you do when the Niners lose? You don't talk about it, you just eat. You know? All right. So giving kids these days a social emotional tool belt. We feel like these kids, they need that. They need to be taught. That's why there's a command in Proverbs, teach kids in the ways they go, so when they're older, they won't depart from it. So teaching is really what we're after. And so we'll teach social emotional learning, but also spiritual life lessons. A little bit of coded language there, but really Bible principles that actually work and have worked for thousands of years. There's principles in Scripture that we try to teach if communities are open to that. And then last one is literacy. I mean, a whole kid's life the trajectory is pointed based on, their reading level. And so that's our primary thing. This is what makes us extremely unique. And then there's establishing presence, which is basically the idea that there's no hack for human connection. You got to show up. You got to show up. An ounce of showing up is worth a pound of planning. Listen, so that's our whole deal. Anyways, now the fun stuff, pictures of our trucks. We built one each year since 2018. The laundry truck was first, stage truck. That's where we teach kids from. The food truck was launched a week before shelter in place. And so it was awesome because all the communities wanted us and we could operate. We were outdoor and safe and mobile. We were the Bay Area's first nonprofit food truck. And then City Team stole the idea and they're the second. That's right, Hermie. I see you, man. It's okay to compete in the kingdom because we should outdo one another in good works. But we're going to build another one. Okay. Then there's the stories truck because after 2 years of serving families, we said kids are with the COVID thing, and then they were even further behind in reading. So we gamify reading. We make them compete because kids in the urban communities, when faced with a bicycle, a basketball, and a book, they're not choosing a book, folks, until we say, hey, we'll take you to the Warriors game for whoever reads the most books in this neighborhood. Boy, that's all you got to do. Gamify it. Then we got a refrigerated truck, a distribution truck, and then a wellness truck, and then vans to support the rest of the work. 3 minutes left. All right. At the end of the day, though, we are actually an idea, more than a nonprofit, because you could kill this nonprofit today. We're going to come back tomorrow. It's like Michael Scott from The Office, right? When they shut down he's like, I'll just create another paper company. It's the same thing, because we're actually an idea, and the idea is that true love shows up. Anyone could say, I love you from afar. True love shows up. You want to know how that works in your life? You may say you have 10 friends. Call them and tell them you're moving this weekend. Whoever shows up actually loves you. And it's the same with these families. We could tell these kids all we want. We love you. You matter to us. Prove it. Show up. Whoever shows up wins the battle of influence. If you saw a picture of my wife and me, you'd look at her, you'd look at me, and you'd think, how the heck? How could you pull her? She was dating a guy that was 6'3", fit, wealthy, handsome, had a great job. I looked pretty much the same. He was driving a convertible Mustang. I was driving a church van. I kept showing up. Whoever shows up wins the battle of influence. He took too long. I just kept showing up. Us Asians are persistent. The need, why? What drives us every day? 1 in 4 kids are experiencing some form of socioeconomic poverty, food insecurity, and neglect, which is the byproduct of poverty. These kids, that's the biggest need. They're wandering the streets. They're neglected, not because the parents are bad. The parents are trying to survive, working 2 to 3 jobs. They got their own stuff going on. So the easiest thing, if you're a parent, you understand this, just go play outside. Well, kids become what they behold. If all they see outside are the guys on the block, who will they become? The guys on the block. Until we show up, this is what we got to do. And then we won't do all that. But I just want to give you a sneak peek because we're launching a new truck this next year in partnership with the GP2 Foundation and UCSF Dyslexia Center. GP2 is a basketball player for the Warriors, and he's dyslexic. No one knew. It went undiagnosed for years. So we're launching the first in the state of California mobile truck. It's already built. This is just a digital graphic of it. We're going to launch it this next year. But to get kids early screening for dyslexia for free, which usually costs thousands of dollars. But really, we want to have a Mobilize Love, not the full fleet. It's very cumbersome. It's very extensive what we do here in the city. But we have this model. It's a scalable, deployable model of 3 trucks that can go to other regions. And so we're actually building out another set of 3 trucks for what's next is the Peninsula and South Bay. Lastly, I just wanted to share with this. Just QR code this. I have 22 seconds left. We just released our first ever short film for Mobilize Love. If you want to see how all of this materializes and makes the difference in the life of one child, one father, this is the story. And man, get ready to cry. 3, 2, 1.